But once you've created this, what is the functionality of it? I mean, we're not just going to frame it and be happy, yay, we did it. How do you put this into practice and use it as a reference point with your team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is something you're going to want to check in on. If you don't regularly check in on your KRA, it's going to rust. Over time, it falls apart. Things change in your business. Things change with the team member, and you need to be updating it regularly. So one way to do that is for myself, during our one-on-ones, I use this as one of the ways I lead my one-on-ones. Is I don't use it every time or the whole meeting, but I'll have the KRA up on my computer while I'm having my one-on-one with a team member. And I'll look through some of these areas and I'll ask for updates and I'll hold them accountable. Hey, remember, George, we said that you were going to make 100 calls a day. I see on here on the sales report that you've been making more like 60. What's going on? How can I help you? Is that an unrealistic expectation? Being able to have those kind of conversations helps you hold people accountable and keeps them on task for what you agreed on with them.
So give me a specific example, a story, a time that your KRA helped you stay on task instead of kind of getting sidetracked with rabbit trails and crazy ideas or fires of the day.
Mm-hmm. I'm the kind of guy that when I'm driving into work, there are often things that creep into my mind, whether it's a new idea or something I'm upset about and frustrated by, and I want to go tackle this problem. And man, George, I can think of a few times in particular where I've came into the office, I've pulled a few key people together. I'm like, hey guys, we're going to do this, or we need to address this, or I got this new big idea. Man, I've had a few times, the good leaders I have on my team have done a good job at looking me in the eye and saying, hey, Daniel, while that's important, I don't think that's the best use of your time or our time, or hey, that isn't really part of what we agreed on was the best part of your role. And so I have to do that with my team sometimes. But man, when they've helped hold me accountable to my KRA, that's powerful. That's when I know that they know what I do most to maximize the business. And so by me sharing my KRA with my team, it helps them hold me accountable. And that's kept me from chasing something shiny over here or really doing this other thing. Sometimes those are important. And sometimes I do come into work and I have a good idea or I have a problem, but a KRA helps me check myself and it helps me say, all right, this may not be my responsibility to handle today. I'm going to hand this to someone else. I'm going to give this to this person and let them run with it.
It reminds me of the quote, not my monkey, not my circus. And sometimes as a leader, you got to remind yourself because leaders love solving problems. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons they've gotten into business. It's one of the reasons they're successful is they're great problem solvers. And so they just want to find the problems and they're good at it. And so they jump into the mess. But sometimes the best thing you can do is empower your team and help them solve it and help delegate instead of taking it all on yourself, becoming a bottleneck and getting distracted from your KRA, from what you are, what you're supposed to do to move the business forward.
Exactly. So one part of the KRA for me is helping clear blockers for my team. When my team comes to me with an issue, I want to help them clear it. Now, I have to use discernment because oftentimes they come in with problems that may not be my responsibility to solve. It may be on me to help coach them to go solve it themselves. Other times it is my responsibility to go solve. It's something outside their control that I could actually have an impact on. And so, although clearing blockers is part of my KRA, I have to use discernment of, hey, what does that actually look like real time? And where does it apply? How does it apply? And how do I use wisdom in that?
So you've helped our own leadership team create more effective KRAs. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen leaders make when it comes to this whole process?
Man, gosh, probably one of the biggest things that I've seen people do is set it and forget it. They create the KRA, they check the box, and then they don't actually use it. So it's this one-time document. And man, when you do that, you lose credibility with your team because you say you're intentional. You say, hey, I'm going to create all this role clarity for you. You create it, and then you don't actually hold them accountable to it, or you don't actually use it to manage them or to talk to them or to coach them. And yeah, that not only does that take away your credibility as a leader, but it also is just an ineffective and it was a waste of time on the front end. And so if you're going to do something, if you're going to commit to creating role clarity for your team, follow through and actually stick with it. And that's going to mean you need to update it occasionally, like we talked about. And role clarity is frustrating because you wish that you could create it once and it was done, but that's just not how we work as people, as humans. And so you're going to have to continue to polish it. But if you do a good job on the front end, it's that much easier to maintain long term.